I called the book Everything is F***ed because if you look at the world today, we live in kind of a very strange period where by every material metric, the world is better than it's ever been. We're living longer, we're healthier, we're wealthier, we have more technology, we're curing diseases and stuff. Like, it's actually better to be alive than it has been at any other point in human history. Yet if you look around, everybody is losing their damn minds all the time. They're losing it politically, socially. If you go on Twitter, you think the apocalypse is coming. And I just think that's very strange. So I wanted to write a book that investigated what is it about modern life and modern technology that creates this sense of hysteria, this sense that everything is going to hell in a handbasket when you look out your window and everything's great. So when writing a book about hope, you actually have to start at a place without hope. And a place without hope is a very, very dark place. And I call that place the uncomfortable truth. And the uncomfortable truth basically says that on a cosmic scale, based on everything we know about the universe, we are so insignificant and exist for such a tiny period of time that it's hard to rationalize how anything we do in our life matters at all. Why do anything? It's not gonna matter anyway. I'm just gonna die. Everybody I love is gonna die. Who cares? I find that most of our deepest personal problems occur when we get stuck in that question, in that truth. And really the purpose of building hope, building a vision for your life, finding purpose is all about finding a reasonable answer to that question. What am I here for? What can I do that matters with the small amount of time that I'm alive? How can I affect my life or somebody else's life in a positive way? And that is the starting point of pretty much every decision we make throughout our lives. One of the most common questions I get is, why a book about hope? People seem to think today that everything is everything is, the world is going to hell, society is going to hell. We're constantly exposed to all these awful things going on. And as a result of that, I think it's creating a vision of hope for ourselves more difficult in today's world. So I wanted to write a book that didn't necessarily give people hope, but analyzes and investigates that deep desire to find hope. Because I think that desire to find hope is actually more complicated than we give it credit for. We tend to think of hope as this universally good thing. We all want it, we all want to keep it. But like many things in life, I think there's a dark side to hope. And so I wanted to write a book that was very honest about that. One of the first questions when it comes to hope is the idea of self-control. We all need to feel as though we have control over our own actions and our own lives in order to generate some sense of hope for ourselves. The problem is that a lot of us don't have control over ourselves or over our own lives. And so this creates a psychological dilemma. Our mind kind of needs to convince itself that has way more control than it actually does. And if you look at psychological research, you see this kind of self-imposed delusion all over the place. So what I try to do is I try to just take a very honest look at how our mind works, how our emotions and thoughts interplay with each other, and understand where this illusion of self-control comes from and how we can maximize it in a healthy way. Because the fact is, we're all lying to ourselves a little bit, and if we're not aware of that, and if we're not conscious of how we are, like what those little lies are, we can get sucked down some very ugly and damaging paths. And nobody wants that. One of the more, I guess, controversial topics I tackle in the book is that of religion. It's not a comfortable thing to write about, and I don't think it's a comfortable thing to read about, but I think it's impossible to talk about hope without talking about religion, because religion is such a source of hope for most of the people on the planet. One of the conclusions I come to, and one of the things I talk about, is that it's kind of impossible to not be religious. Like, even if you're atheist, even if you're agnostic, You still have to put your faith into some moral or ethical code. You still have to believe that something is important and worthy of your time and attention, even if you don't have any evidence that it is. So in a really abstract sense, we're all a little bit religious, and all human societies organize themselves around these little religions. And I think it's very important for us to become aware of that, because I think in the modern world today, even though we're seeing traditional religion recede in its influence, I think what's happening is that we're instead approaching things like politics, business, sports, media with more of a religious attitude. And that's a source of a lot of the strife and conflict today.